I believe that after having attended the commission meeting last Wednesday, I had a chance to accept on behalf of Bethany Schools the grant. But we visited Spirit Aero Systems. It's just a big factory, one of the largest factories I've ever been inside. We had a chance to tour it. I would show you pictures, but we weren't allowed to take pictures of it. But their specialty is to build fuselages and wings. And it was just an amazing attention to detail for every portion of what is necessary in building these planes. Well, so that is a portion of, obviously, mechanics and engineering of aviation education, in addition to becoming a pilot. So our program for Aviation 1 is to include both of those as objectives. And so the AOPA curriculum is a national curriculum that was approved by the state of Oklahoma. And there are 4 levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first 2 levels are technology credits that go towards high school diploma, and the last 2 count as either math or science based on teacher certification. And so a student could take as many as 4 credits, full credits, year-long credits of that. And so the one thing that I wanted to mention is when I was just amazed at the immensity of this program, of statewide and really nationally. 98 schools I counted on the agenda received grants from the Oklahoma Aerospace and Aeronautics Commission. So, and based on what I was told, Bethany was the 115th school district to receive and approve aviation education. So I'm excited to be part of it. We have, it's scheduled for high school for 6th period, starting on Thursday. So this will be interesting to see how far we can take off.
Oh my gosh. Dr. Bellows, can I make a couple comments?
Please do.
Hey, I had to jump in here. I got a couple things to say. One, Dr. Bellows and I have talked about this, and he's the one who kind of helped spur this vision of, we were right next to Wiley Post. Why would we not partner with somebody to do this? And when I did this at my previous school, we went from initial class of maybe 10, 15 kids doing it. Now it's a full entire day of 5-6 hours, and they just graduated their first group of 4 or 5 kids that are official pilots. They have their pilot's license. And so there's different ways to go. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Allen, Mr. Forrester, in front of everybody, because Mr. Forrester, guys, I don't know how he does it. He's the king of writing grants for us. I mean, you'll see the OETT grant that we got. I mean, it's unbelievable how he does it. And then Mr. Allen, I came to him with this vision after talking with Dr. Bellows and just said, hey, would you even think about doing this? Because we need somebody that's certified in math or science to get credit to graduate. And Mr. Allen, without even pausing, just said, I'm in. What do you need? I mean, guys, you do not see that. Typically when you ask somebody like, hey, Ms. Tovar, will you do this? Just as an example, they typically would say, bad example, she would usually say yes. But they typically would say, I don't know, he's certified in chemistry, he's a science teacher. But I said to do this, he said, yes, I'll take it. And so there's 2 different versions. You can go into be a pilot track, or you can go be a drone path. So we're not sure exactly which one. We're probably going to lean towards a pilot right now, but there's another path of after 2 years, you make a decision to go, I'm going to be a pilot, or I'm going to be a certified drone pilot. And so the technology is awesome, and I really think this class will blossom into a platform that is going to be super successful at Bethany. And I just can't wait, in 3-4 years to see that first group come through and go, man, they did it. You got 2 or 3 pilots here. Or, hey, they're drones. They're working on roofs. They're working on the games. They're making videos. It's going to be really, really cool. So thank you to Coach Forrester, Mr. Allen, and Dr. Bellows for helping us with this. It's really awesome.
Well, so proud of all you guys. It's just good for our kids, and just thinking about the opportunities that truly are out there now with how many often you see drones and taking footage for various things, surveys, and it's just out there all over the place. So these are real opportunities that our kids are going to have as soon as they graduate and being able to utilize that. So thank you all for putting it together. It's just a start, but excited to see the future. So thank you very much.
Item 4, discussion possible action on travel for students and staff to Israel for the Israel Exchange Program for 24-25.
Very good. So Dr. Wentroth, thank you for joining us today. I know you've got some updates for us, and so I'd like to just hear you kind of talk to us a little bit about what's been going on, but then also just where you think we're at.
Before I get started, I'll just say that Kate Sweat, who just graduated from here last year, is a former ambassador and is at Mike Monroney Aeronautics School, the career tech. He'd be a great person to bring in and maybe talk. He just lives a block from school, lives at home this year. So anyway, he could give some perspective to that. Okay, so the Israel situation, it has done nothing except get hotter and more intense over there, and so we just don't believe that it is in the best interest for the kids or the district for our students to travel to Israel in December. And so far, they are still planning on coming to be hosted by us in October. I believe it's October 6th, 12th to the 26th. You need to know that. I need to get that right for y'all. Hold on here. I just got finished talking about
We
it.
had it in our information.
Did you? Okay.
Somewhere, yeah, I remember seeing it. I remember seeing it.
It was.
Previous.
Well, I know, but I want to make sure it's right. That's not right. Okay, they arrive the 16th, October 16th, and they leave the 26th, so they'll be here 10 days. They'll be here 10 days. But, you know, if Iran gets pulled into the conflict over there with Lebanon and Syria, and yeah, it's just, there's no telling what may end up happening. So I know that Piper has begun the labor-intensive paperwork to get refunds done for the kids. Let's see. So those will start coming back to them probably. You'll be seeing things on your board agenda for POs that need to be approved and all that jazz. And so we have a parent meeting this coming Sunday for, now do you remember my terminology, Group A and Group B? Okay, the seniors that missed out last year, Group A, that hosted, but then when their Israelis were in New York City, October 7th happened and they got kind of stranded for a week or so. So that's Group A, who are now seniors, because we were originally thinking that we would take Group A kids and this year's Group B juniors to Israel. So we'll meet with both parent groups Sunday. We'll meet with Group B. It's funny, they've decided they don't like Group A and B. They want to be called Gold and Platinum or whatever. I don't know what it is. A and B I'm sticking with. Our hope would be, if things do settle, that possibly next December 25, we might be able to take this group of juniors who would become seniors. They're all juniors. So they possibly could travel along with next year's juniors, this year's sophomores. So we'll just have to see how the conflict goes over there, but it's just unfortunate that the kids are gonna miss out. But we have a girl from, an Israeli girl from Group A that visited here last year. She is here this year, right now, this week, visiting her ambassador, and I can't remember who she's paired up with, but you tell people the relationships that these kids form, and they think, okay, yeah, right. Or you tell the parents, you're gonna cry when those Israelis go back, and they think, oh no, we won't. Oh, we will, but oh yeah, you do, kind of, because they just become such close friends. So anyway, it's kind of neat how that has kind of turned around and they're back visiting. So anyhow, I don't know. We would like to be the ones to explain to the groups on Sunday, but you know, do what you feel like you have to do as far as letting the public know. Any questions for me? That was longer than needed to be probably.
So are you refunding everyone's?
Yes.
Okay. Including the
Kid
junior
show.
that may be. Huh?
Yes, yes. And it turned out, I can't remember what we said we thought it might. Remember we were talking about what it might cost the kids if things didn't pan out. It turns out it's $250. So at one point there during the discussions, we thought it was going to be $500, but we're able to save them $250.
Good, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I would say too, I've been able to come to the meetings on Sundays and just be a part of the group. It's so much more than a trip to Israel or even a trip here for them. It's been awesome, team building, just what you guys do with them is amazing. I mean, anybody would want their kid to be a part of a group like that meets on Sundays, go through those activities and things that they're getting to do. So it's been an awesome experience just for me to see what's kind of behind the scenes on that, more so than whether it's a trip there or a trip here. And I know the hosting is an amazing opportunity also, so I'm glad they're going to do that. Right now.
We'll start this Sunday, we'll meet with the Group B kids, and for the next 2 months, each Sunday evening, prepare them to be good hosts and talk about what that means, what that looks like. We'll talk about the Israeli culture, things that are similar, things that are different. So it's a great program, I'll just say that. And we're the only school in the United States doing it. So there you go. It really does. It separates our kids from the pack. These kids get big scholarships because of the experience and the way they are able to use the experience in getting large scholarships. It's pretty cool. It's a neat deal. See how they go. Okay, well, no other questions. Thank you for your patience and letting it kind of ride on out. We wanted to give it every chance that we could. It just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Thank you.
We tried.
Yeah, thank you for trying.
Very good.
Yeah, we tried.
Do we need to?
Yeah.
So. We need a motion.
Motion to cancel student travel to Israel for the Israel exchange program.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Wallstead,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Okay, discussion of possible action on, discussion and presentation of policy changes to meet the requirements of new State Department of Education rules and Oklahoma laws.
Very good. So this is just a discussion item. The idea being that as we make board policy and change board policy moving forward, and we'll have a lot of that this year, as I'll explain in a minute, but we want to give you guys an opportunity to see it, talk about it, then go back for a month, review it, see if there's any things that you would like to ask questions about or have further discussion on. In the meantime, then we'll come back next month and vote. Now, these items are changes in laws or rules, so we do need to take action on these policies in September before accreditation comes. That said, and I'll go through these here in a second just to give you a summary of those, and then you can go and review those on your own. In addition to this, you may remember last year we talked about kind of reviewing our policy book in general and just making sure we were up to date. And so we've received information and feedback back from OSSBA on that, and we've got a lot of work to do. So this is the binder that they returned, and I don't know if you can see, but there's white, yellow, and blue paper in there. The white is current policies, probably good. The yellow is some changes in law that have taken place we will need to address through policy by changing those or making additions to the policy. And then the blue is maybe changes in rules or things like that as well. There's a lot of yellow and blue sheets in there. The tricky part of this is the coding that you see on the policies listed there are very different than how we currently code policy. So when we approve these next month, we'll have different coding than this, and we also have to make sure the policy fits our current policy book. Then every month, administrators and I are gonna get together, go over these policies, and try to bring a set to you. With probably, I talked to OSSBA a little bit. The best way we think to do it is put coding that matches current year and next year, and then at the end of the year, but still approve things as we go, but then at the end of the year, approve only the codes for the new book. And hopefully, by the end of the year, we should be kind of caught up on all those policies. And so I'm going to go through, if it's all right with you, and just summarize what these are in general, not going over all of the language, but just kind of giving you an idea of a little bit about what's behind some of them. So the first one is standards of performance and conduct. The primary thing in this policy is that it makes reference to if an employee were to make references of sexuality that would be inappropriate to the age of child in their classroom. Essentially, I would tell you, I think this comes from a place of, example, elementary teachers talking about certain aspects of sexuality or things like that that may not be considered appropriate for their age. And so I think that's what this policy is. It's just adding that as a line in all the other standard of performance and conduct that teachers currently have to abide by. I can pause on that if you guys want a second, or okay. The second one is termination of employment for teachers. This one is applies policy for the termination if the standards above that we just talked about are violated. So we have the policy. This gives us permission to act if it's violated. The third one is support personnel suspension. This one goes with the fourth one, and essentially it says districts will be penalized if they choose not to put support employees on administrative leave, and then that employee is later found to be guilty of a felony. So in general, if there is something suspected and we are determining whether to put and I would say 3 and 4 are, it's just support personnel, certified personnel. It's all the same. So if we say, you know what, we're not going to put that employee on leave, we're just going to investigate while they're still interacting and teaching and doing all those things, that's okay. But if they end up being, found guilty or of a felony, now the State Department of Education will have a deficiency in our accreditation. So gives a little bit of lean towards putting teachers who are suspected of things on leave. Certainly adds a risk if you choose not to. And I think that's what they're trying to avoid in general, is giving benefit of the doubt to a point to where kids may still be in danger, and then finding out, oh yeah, maybe we should have put them on leave. Same thing for teachers, and then also as certified, it talks about administrators as well. So those two policies outline the ability to put people on leave, what that entails, with compensation in most cases, and then the action that can be taken with that. But more clearly, what happens if you don't, and later find out that, yeah, they were guilty of something that requires action later. So that's 3 and 4. 5, I've got prohibition of race and sex discrimination. And the only thing this does is it added nor an independent contractor can teach a course with discriminating principles. And you can read kind of what's covered under that. It just didn't outline that, and so I guess they figured the loophole was you could bring someone else to come and teach a course that meets that, falls under that criteria and get around that. So that's just adding that little language there. Release time courses, this is new, a new law they passed that allows for students to be able to leave for a certain time to attend courses, religious or moral instruction off school campus. It allows for 3 days per week, up to 125 total sessions. We'll see if there are any requests for this. This was kind of an interesting one to us, as far as students are allowed to leave for religious observances, things like that. This is a little more specific to going off-site for courses, but it was just a change in law, so it would meet that law. The next one, number 7, is graduation requirements, and this is probably one of the bigger ones. Most of it's effective 25-26, and so we'll be working this year to create a plan for that. Within this policy, there are some things that we will have to consider over time. Right now, we currently require 26 credits. Law requires 23, and I think I know why we do that. We want to go above and beyond. The complexity of this policy, and you can kind of see there the different pathways that they're offering, and that's the whole goal behind it, is to try to give students multiple pathways to graduations instead of kind of a one-size-fits-all for students. Right now, I would tell you, I would lean towards keeping it at 23 instead of keeping it at 26 because of the complexity of that and not knowing the repercussions of adding those 3 extra classes with these different pathways. That's something that could easily be changed as we feel better about, you know, the things we're gonna have to implement to have these pathways. But early on, to me, it would be playing a little more safer than taking a risk that they could put us in a bind with some classes if we still require 26 and all these different pathways that we now have to offer. So that would be my recommendation just for now. And certainly I think Mr. Jewell may be able to give us some insight throughout the year as we prepare for this big change on, you know, how we look to do that and the different things that we need to do, whether it be class offerings or things like that. And Mr. Jewell, I don't know if you have some insight now, just initial thoughts or.
Yeah, I think I understand the concept of having 26 credit hours. I think we are not giving as much flexibility to upperclassmen, specifically juniors and seniors, in regards to like workforce or concurrent courses. We offer concurrent right now, but I look at it in the perspective of we're requiring seniors and juniors to take extra courses that aren't required to graduate. Those hours could be used for work study. I can go get a job. I can go take a college class. I can do, I think we kind of handicap them by making them take courses that aren't required to graduate. They don't necessarily want to take all the time. And we're just saying, hey, listen, you got to go to this insert class and take it, even though it's not required to graduate. It's required by us, but not by the state. I think if we were to lower it down to what the state requires, it gives them a lot of flexibility, whether it's an early start or a late start or an early release of a day. Instead of going 1 through 7, they go 2 through 7 or 1 through 6. Kind of bookend their schedule a little bit. I think there's a lot of things that go with it, but that's my initial response to it, is lower it down.
And all of this policy is just, you can read it, but it's straight to what the law allows. We have a lot to figure out and learn as to how to fully implement this, and so it's going to take some time, you know, for us to be able to truly, you know, make good recommendations about here's our plan for this.
So
and we
what do
have some
we
time.
require in addition that's not required by the state?
Say that again.
What do we require now?
Just three extra credit hours, I believe.
Yeah, it's just 3 extra.
Three
So
extra.
it
it
could be
doesn't matter
electives.
what end?
Yeah,
I see.
it could be a history class or a
Okay.
math class. I mean, typically kids stay away from the cores. They want to go do an elective class they want to do, but I see. I struggle with that just because I'm looking at this is a requirement. We're telling them you need to do more, but if we don't offer the courses that they want to do, like if they don't have an aviation class they can get into because they're playing soccer or football or they're in choir, well, what are we telling them to do? They got to go take a class they don't want to take instead of being done at 2 o'clock. Now they're done at 3 o'clock, and that hour that they had class, maybe they learned something. I think they probably would, but I think we give them a better option to take. Hey, they can go work.
Yeah.
They can go to career tech.
Yeah.
They can go to where they have a lot more flexibility with that extra hour.
Yeah.
Or 3, I guess.
The next one is voluntary private prayer. This is based on a SDE rule. We already do a moment of silence in the morning. The only thing I think we will have to put in here, and I want to clarify because the example they give, as you can see, is a certain time. I want to just see if we can just put in during morning announcements, or during daily announcements, I should say, because those don't always happen in the morning. But apart from that, it's just allowing school employees to engage in private religious prayer, including sporting events. I think that I'm I'm not sure exactly why this is a
And
rule.
it has to be a minute?
Do what?
And it has to be a minute now?
That's what they say, exactly 1 minute,
No more.
which
Yeah.
seems like a long time in a classroom
That's a
with
long
kids,
time.
if I'm being honest,
That's a long
but,
time.
but
You
yeah,
have to
that
announce
is
it
another
like
point.
a minute of silence.
Right.
Another thing that it does that's a part of the rule is it has, at the very bottom, you can see it has a complaint process in policy for anyone who feels like, they're not being allowed to do that. So, but I'll tell you, from our standpoint, we do a moment of silence every single day. We do a moment of silence during roundup. We started last year doing a moment of silence before activities, and we plan to continue that. I will tell you, at activities, that will not be a minute. That's too long. But it's an opportunity for everyone to have some quiet time, and that's great. So this is just adding some wording to something that's pretty much in practice, except for not exactly a minute, probably. The next one is attendance. Now this one is interesting because our current attendance policy does look very different than most attendance policies right now. A couple things that a lot of districts have that our policy does not have is it defines what is an excused absence and what is an unexcused absence. Now there is law out there that states what is excused and what is not excused. This policy, the reason it's changing is because there were some changes to 4H that needed to go into an already established policy. The problem with our policy is we don't have some of that language already in there. So, but again, we've been, the 5 things that were listed already are things that we know are reasons for excused absences. And it's in there. For some reason, our policy, we just don't define those things. We just kind of state that, students should attend school, and we're just more vague when it comes to that. This outlines family or personal illness, medical appointments, legal matters, extenuating circumstances deemed necessary by the principal, observance of holidays required by a student's religious affiliation. So those most districts acknowledge those as the 5. The new ones are 6, which is 4H. Now I did ask, we don't have that, so do we need to have that in our policy? And the recommendation was, yes, have it in your policy, because if you ever do, you don't have to go back and remember to change this policy as well. Also because we may have to show an accreditation that we've updated this policy to meet that new law, and then we'd be able to do that easily. So that was the recommendation there. And then number 7, speech therapy, occupational therapy. I would tell you, this has kind of been our practice anyways. We have students who go receive services off campus, and we have made that an excused absence anyways, but this is an addition to that to make that kind of official.
What, do we have an official number that we would put on the 4H? Because it says insert number here, so I didn't know.
Well, and that's a good question. I have not looked at the 4H section of that enough because I just knew we didn't need to, but there are some sections in here that principals and I will need to review that have to do with if it is an unexcused absence. It talks about what percent do you take off of their work if it's an unexcused absence. I'll need to get with them on practices. I would venture to guess that in some cases we work with kids. I don't know that we have a set percentage that we take off, but I know a lot of districts do, just to keep it consistent and say, if you have, well, and actually it's even an excused absence, but they'll say, you can have no more than a 75%. I don't know that that's our practice, and so I'll just talk with principals to put a number there if we feel like we have. No, we do not have a number in here, and if we don't need a number, we may not even put a number, but because I think that's more to give weight to a teacher who kind of wants to penalize a kid for an unexcused absence. So I think we would have to first determine if that's how we want to do things, and then what that percentage would be. But
So we were involved in 4-H as transfer students because we lived in Canadian County, and we were involved in that 4-H program. So there may be a reason to have it. Even you may have students that are involved in it that are transfer students.
Yeah, true.
From a different county.
Yeah. So that one, again, that what they have changed and underlined will be different than ours. We will, in a lot of ways, we'll kind of be adopting their whole attendance policy, which is in here as well for later on, but I think we'd probably be best served just to adopt the whole thing all at once, but. Let's see, and then the last one is the transfer appeal, for students on an IEP. Again, there's just new language, that requires a little bit more action if you're denying a student a transfer due to, their IEP and your capacity related to that, and it just requires some additional meetings, explanation, a little bit different appeal process, but not too much. Our understanding right now, because my question was, it doesn't really specify this in this policy, but what if we deny them because of general capacity, like there's zero capacity in a grade level, doesn't have anything to do with IEP, and what we understand right now is that would be different. It would be if they're next on the list and they're on an IEP and we feel like we don't have capacity within a program because of that IEP in our special services, that's when this would take effect. We'd have to have a special meeting, talk to them about, what the situation is, and so this is just matching that change as well. There is an option there, option choice on the second page. It's appeal process 1 and 2. The first option matches what we currently do it's basically in writing instead of a hearing or parents and administrators giving a hearing, so we would probably go with that option. All right, I'll take questions on any of those, but again, there's no action on this, it's just conversation, so if you have any questions now, feel free, and if not, you can look over it in the next month or so, and we will try to bring cleaner versions of these that when you approve it, it'll actually go into our policy book, so.
Okay, item 6, consent agenda.
I'll just say real quick, you're gonna see the arbiter contract on here. We are now required to pay officials within 2 weeks. And so this platform will help us get them paid more quickly and process things more quickly for our officials. So that is a new one that you're going to see on there. And if there aren't any other questions on that, we have our overnight trips. They have done the Texas Thespian many years, and then the senior class trip many years. And then we just have a few additions for the activity fund sub-accounts, some additional fundraisers. The multi-language program is also requesting to create an activity fund account, and that would be traditionally for our English language learning students.
Side note on that, Mrs. Graham's request we make the change in the name to multilingual, and I loved her reason, so I'll share it with you. We want to empower our students to know that knowing multiple languages is a great resource and a great thing, and so instead of EL, just multilingual, that celebrating that. So I love that.
Me too.
As we move into the financial fund reports, we're getting up and running. We were a little disappointed. We were hoping to get the estimate of needs on, but they did not have our net assessed values to be able to finish it this month. So it will be on the September board meeting. Our activity fund is healthy. Everything's going well. If you see a negative on the summary of accounts, it's because they've turned in a deposit and we let them go ahead and have an encumbrance in there. So it's okay. It's not really negative. The deposit just isn't showing yet. And then when you look at the function summary report this month, it's still going to reflect the same appropriations from last school year, since we're not in a new budget and we don't have a new estimate of needs. We do have encumbered right now. It's showing the 5.3 million. So this also includes our salaries, obviously. It's gonna feel like we have a lot more encumbered at the beginning right now because we have the roofing project encumbered right now. We're gonna be finishing some of that up in this fiscal year. So we've got a lot more encumbered on the front end that we ended up doing at the back end last year. So that's why it's gonna feel like there's a little more encumbered. cause we have a couple big projects that we were planning. And if you don't have any questions on that, the rest is just our building, our sinking fund, just normal things. We have started collections, so all of the numbers on the tracking sheet, it's gonna have the taxes from last year because we don't have those values in yet, but we already have started collecting in funds, and we have started collecting, we've gotten some of our federal money from last year that we collected in July, so we're already moving on that. We ended up with a carryover over $6 million, so that was good. We're gonna be able to finish up some big one-time projects. And then that's all for the financial fund reports.
Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve 6A through 6E.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Do what?
Pettit,
Oh, yes. 7, discussion and possible action to accept the bid from Calm Construction to construct high school finishing kitchen.
So this is the kitchen in the high school, moving middle school to high school and having food prep there at that area. Generally speaking, I'll tell you, the cost of this did go up throughout the, history of the looking into this, but at the end, we were still always between hiring more personnel to do it or constructing a kitchen that was a permanent solution to the problem. So. Mr. Mont, if you would, I would let you kind of talk to us a little bit about the bidding and then how we ended up on this bid, if you don't mind.
Okay, so we did do a public RFP for this. The specifications were written with the assistance from Sodexo, who was our current cafeteria service provider. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting for all of the contractors to come in, take a look at the site, make sure they knew everything that was going to go into their bid. Also had several follow-ups as well. We ended up having 2 bids. One was Calm Construction and the other was Lingo. Calm Construction was the lowest bidder, and those bids were split between the actual construction as well as the kitchen equipment. And then we also added a 10% contingency just in the event that we saw anything that was unforeseen. That doesn't make sense, but I've got Tim flying out here. He's with Calm Construction, in case there are any actual questions for him as well.
Is there anything that might surprise you about the area or?
Those extra visits, I came 2 or 3 times to kind of mitigate some of those before there were issues, before there are issues. But I think we're pretty solid on what we have covered, so I feel pretty confident in it. So.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What is a finishing kitchen? I don't know that. I'm sure I should, but I
So
don't.
I believe the cafeteria is planned, and Dr. Bellows, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. So my understanding is the food will be prepped and cooked in the main cafeteria at the elementary school,
Okay.
brought down here. And so in the finishing kitchen, we're going to have warmers, we're going to have an oven, hand washing sink, and my understanding is that that's more of a holding area for the cafeteria folks to service the middle school as well as the high school. So it's not a full service kitchen in that they won't be cooking in there and they won't be prepping food in there.
What is it now? Does it not do that now? Or is
We
it-
don't even have a kitchen at the high school. It's
Well, I know I
There's
see
the
stuff
silver
out there.
things outside that
Yeah,
they.
is that it?
That's
Salad
just
bar?
serving. Yeah, that's a good point.
Just
Those are serving lines.
Okay.
And so all they do is they have So that was one thing that, you know, we could cart, and I think even with that, and talking to Ms. Rigdon, there will be some things that can be prepped here, because the other option was you cook it all there, you cart it down, you bring it, you kind of store it here, and then you serve it, but in the meantime, they're having to cook more, and you kept having to go back and forth, and that would be, you'd need more employees to do that, and the food's not gonna be as warm by the time all that happens to get to the students. So I think having the oven, having, you know, the different equipment down here allows them to do more down here to get it to the students warmer, better, as opposed to loading it up in a cart, sitting in a cart, rolling it down, sitting in a cart, now serve it, so.
So will they still serve it from the same area, the same station?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this allows us to have middle school now eat over there versus only in the elementary school?
Correct,
Is that-
absolutely.
okay.
And the reason that's also important, one, it's probably cool for middle school kids, but it's also really important because right now, our elementary and middle school sharing the one cafeteria, we have to spread those lunches out all day long. So starting at 10:25, right? 10:25 to like 1:15. And that's, you know, it's great for the kids in the middle, but not so much for the kids at 10:25 and 1:15. So this will allow all of our lunches to happen at a better lunchtime as well. So.
Yeah. So what's-
And also allow our master schedule to fit on all three
Yeah.
buildings.
What's the lunchtime spread now with this new, when
Great
this comes into
question,
place?
principals?
Yeah.
I've been talking about it all week, but great question.
To be determined.
No, it is, it'll start at 11 and then it'll end, our last one, I think they'll go out to recess at like 12:40. So our first through fifth on site will get to be within about an hour, 40 minutes.
That's good, yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, that's
And
better.
same thing, middle school and high school. Middle school goes at about 11:40, and then high school goes at 12:30. So we're done at 1:10. So high school's a little bit later, but really 12:30 is kind of normal lunch period. So not a big deal for the high school kids.
Yeah, good.
When are we looking to do this project? As soon as possible? Is that what we're hoping to do? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just, yes, sir,
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
And Tim, thanks for being here. What, from a time frame standpoint, if you could get started, what are we looking at from a time frame?
There was a hard deadline in the RFP,
There is,
10,
okay.
22, I think, so.
We want it to be done by fall break, to get it done.
Okay. Thank you.
And will the corral area still be able to be used while that is under construction? I know that there are meetings and it's used a lot, but it'll,
Yeah, I'm making that assumption. I don't want to assume that.
There may be some common construction noise, but I would, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, I would think the majority of the work would take place in that specific current storage area, as well as maybe some of the electrical panels on the other
Correct.
side of the wall.
The only place that'll be disrupted is the storeroom.
Right.
That's, okay, cause we'll have to demo some concrete out of there to tie in that hand sink plumbing, so.
okay.
We can do that on, you know, after hours or whatnot, so, if you guys will work with us on time.
And in the meantime, we'll just still cook things there and then we'll cart them over.
Yeah, we are maneuvering, we're moving some personnel around to help with the carting some food back and forth, and Ms. Rigdon is also allotting some personnel to help with that, and that's why we want it to be as quick as possible, because that's all temporary fixes. It'll work, but and then she'll adjust her menu just slightly. It's not gonna be a major shift, but just slightly for that, also using warmers and carting, so, yeah.
Item 7, a motion to accept the bid from Calm Construction.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 8, discussion of possible action to accept the bid from Johnson Controls to install a building automation system with the goal of reducing overall utility costs across the district.
So on this one, we have a little bit of ESSER funds remaining. And so it is an allowable expense, to pay for this HVAC, update with our thermostats. And we'll be able to have everybody across the district will be able to change their thermostat thermostat, like in the evenings, we can have them at the set desired level, and then, you know, instead of having to worry about sending out an email and saying, will you please put your thermostat up when it's in freezing cold temperatures, we'll be able to just do that from a button, or actually Mr. Mont will be able to do it. So we're just using some of our remaining COVID relief dollars to do this project. There will be just a little bit left over that we have to pay for out of either the building fund or the general fund, but we believe that it will be worth it in the utility costs that we're going to save when we get it implemented. And the reason we did it, and then the encumbrance will be after that. We put it after the encumbrances after, because some of the purchase orders for these projects are going to be in the encumbrances. So we want you to approve the project before the encumbrance.
So that'll zero out basically our ESSER 3 funds.
Yeah,
at that
we're
point.
done. Yeah, we'll be done. Mhm.
Did they provide an estimate on expected savings?
We haven't seen an estimate on I don't think they didn't provide one.
I would expect 10 to 15+%.
Yeah, so we met with some people through COSA that were talking to us, and there have been some other schools that were smaller than us that I think they probably had a lot more inefficiency, but they saved about $200,000. I don't think we're going to save $200,000, but I think we will save a significant amount of money through this. Yeah.
Is that 200,000? Was that a year or over the life of the system?
It was in a year. They saw that after they got it fully implemented, and they were talking to us within a year. But they also had a person. They were a little more extreme. So they had a person that was their energy efficient person, and they were going around making sure the lights were turned off and the computers were turned off and everything. So I don't think it's going to be 200,000 because we're not going to be that extreme. But I do think we'll have some utility cost savings.
Those people aren't usually very popular.
Yeah.
Before long, but-
Yeah.
And to further answer your question, part of that cost is monthly visits from Johnson Controls to look at system calibrations and maybe repairs if there are any. But what's unique about it is there's an energy management function there as well, where they come in and they review our data. They take a look at how we have the thermostats set based on our hours and make recommendations to tune those down or tune those up. So there's a specific energy management component written into the RFP.
Great.
So this could pay for itself in we don't know the number of years just because we don't, but.
Yes, it has the possibility of doing that.
Yeah.
We're hopeful that it does.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the idea is that spend the money now while we have it in ESSER funds to save money later on that we can use for other things. And so that was a big part of the thought process Dr. Jasper and I had. And the other thing I would tell you across the district, when we have someone come out to do service on our air conditioned units right now, and Mr. Mott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when they repair a thermostat, one time they might repair it with this type of thermostat, another time might repair it with this. So if you go across our district, there are varying thermostats across the district as well. And that in and of itself is a little bit tricky, but the biggest problem is we have units freezing up because they get left on AC at night, and then the temperature goes cold, and they freeze up. Now they're not working the next morning, and we have to bring a repair guy out. So besides the cost of energy savings, I think the cost of maintenance and service and things like that should also improve. And also another important thing that we wanted to specify was that teachers still had control, because a lot of times it's just hard locked on a certain number, and teachers don't typically enjoy that very much. I mean, you got to give them a little bit of leeway when they're coming right off the playground. So as I understand it, it has a little range that they'll be able to operate within. It's reasonable, but they'll be able to operate within that. So.
You can program it however you'd like to program.
Perfect, yeah. So.
Motion to approve item 8 to accept the bid from Johnson Controls.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Almer,
Yes.
Alstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 9, approve the encumbrances for the general fund non-payroll number 161 through 298 for $1,042,559.34. Change orders for general fund $15,223.44. General fund payroll number 70,000 through 70,238 for $1,910,628.86. encumbrance for the building fund, non-payroll, numbers 8 through 12, $577,541.33.
And I'll just go ahead and say, as you're looking at them, so you're going to see that we have, we had the second half of the roofing project, which is gonna be a significant purchase order, and there's gonna be a portion of it come out of the building fund, which we had a $1.2 million carryover in, and there's gonna be a portion of it coming out of the general fund to finish that project off. Also on the Johnson Controls, you're gonna see a portion of it coming from the building fund, and also a portion of it coming from the general fund. And for the Calm Construction project, there's gonna be a portion of that coming from the building fund, and then there's gonna be a portion coming from the general fund for the kitchen project. And the portion coming from the kitchen project is going to be child nutrition funds. We have an excess of child nutrition funds, so we're gonna be paying for the equipment because that's an allowable expense with our child nutrition funds. And then if you have any other questions.
How are we painting the activity buses?
So what we're doing, we're taking some of our yellow buses and we're actually repainting them, our yellow diesel buses, and we're repainting them white, and I think they'll have a wrap, right, on them, and it'll be for like if we're going to state, you know, the kids will get to go in a bus that's kind of a little nicer than, you know, so that's where,
Great.
so we're painting the, painting them, and then we're also looking at, maybe, later getting a couple more diesel buses that we want to make sure that we have a fleet where we can send buses out of state and not be worried. Some of the new buses that we got last year were propane buses, and it's not very convenient to take a propane bus on a long distance trip. So we're trying to get some of that changed around a little bit and make sure we have enough diesel buses that can get us all the places we want to go.
That's great.
And we looked at, when we were looking for activity buses, we were looking at, you know, kind of newer used activity buses. It's really hard to find the right thing. So as Mr. Kelsey was pondering this and having a hard time, because you're kind of waiting for them to pop up, and do you get it in time before someone else got it? He had a great idea and just said, you know, we have some nicer new diesel buses that, and we're looking at the same years of purchasing. What if we just paint and wrap current buses and make them, you know, look nicer, and then we can look at, you know, other diesel buses. So this was a great suggestion, a great idea of getting the same thing without, it just in a little different way. So very, very creative thing on his part.
That's great.
263 with the awning replacement, will that be an insurance claim, I would guess?
It is an insurance claim. So the awning replacement is costing that amount of money, and then I believe we have a $10,000 deductible, and we've received, they're gonna send us a $10,000 check. I think we've received a $10,000 check. So the insurance, it is an insurance claim, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 217, the gaming computers, that's for the e-gaming stuff.
It is,
Program.
and it's being paid for with the OETT grant funds that Mr. Forster applied for. Yeah.
Mr. Forster, will they use those for computer lab?
Yes,
Computers as
yeah,
well?
for the computer
They're
lab
just-
here.
Yep, gotta be really nice.
Yeah, really nice, yeah.
Really nice computer lab. Also probably benefit aviation down the road
Yes.
too.
Oh, yeah.
So assuming there'll still be
Back
phase
around
to
all
do that.
those programs, yeah.
I probably missed this at some point, but what's being done to the exit office window?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, yeah, so, the exit office window, they put in a new window, and it also has, like a smaller window, I don't know what you call it, but that locks so that people can pass things through instead of having to open the door. It's bulletproof glass because there's lots of people coming in there, and so we're able to pay for that with the Project 376, the security grant funds, and so that's one of the projects that we're paying for with those grant funds to kind of up the security of the exit office. Yeah,
That's
and
excellent.
yeah,
So lunches can go through
Yeah.
that.
lunches can go
Yeah.
through. Yes, yeah.
Good.
I don't know what you call that little window, but
Pass through box. I
yeah,
don't
it's
know,
a
yeah.
pass through box. I don't know.
Drive through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
motion to approve the encumbrances as presented.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 10, discussion possible action on payment of the annual back-to-school stipend in the amount of $200 for the school employees.
This is.
It's just
yeah.
the same, it's the one we do every year, it's the annual one, the same one.
Motion to approve the $200 stipend for employees.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 11, discussion of possible action on increasing classroom substitute pay rates to $70 per day for non-certified substitutes, $85 a day for certified substitutes.
This is just an increase of $5 each, and then,
Yeah, one thing too that is important to think about in this, because still we're lower than a lot of districts. I think it's easy to say, well, man, why don't we just get right to that level? Well, the one thing we want to consider is that we have some current employees who are working every day for us, who, when we figure out their daily rate of pay, they're right above this range, and we don't want to go above that range, because that wouldn't be fair to our employees who are committed every day to coming. So when we considered all of their benefits and all those things, we looked at their daily rate of pay, and we wanted to make sure we are still under that, and not just right under it, because then, for a few dollars, I'll pick and choose when I want to work. So I wish it could be a higher number. As far as getting subs, it is higher and it's going the right direction, but we also want to be fair to the people we employ every day, who commit to us every day, and make sure we are fair to them. So that's the reason for the specific numbers.
Motion to approve substitute pay rates for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 12, discussion of possible action on the additions to the fixed hourly pay rate schedule for extra duties for the 24-25 school year.
So you've seen this, and you'll probably see it a couple more times, because as we're finding these little jobs here and there that we want to have a fixed rate for, that's not always changing. So we've added some translation services at the end, and I also think I added a tutoring on there, but these are just fixed rates so that we're making sure we know everybody's kind of in the same realm, and we're not changing the amount every time someone else starts doing something. So
Motion to approve the fixed hourly rates for the 2024-25 school year.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 13, discussion possible action on a motion approving the renewal of the sublease agreement dated December 1st, 2020 between the district and Oklahoma County Finance Authority for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 as required under the provisions of the agreement.
So this is just a regular agreement that we have to approve every year, both this one and the one after it. So because of our bonds, and we don't officially own everything yet, we have to approve these agreements each year.
Motion to approve the renewal of the sublease agreement as presented in item 13.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
And Pettit.
Yes. Item 14, discussion possible action on a motion approving the renewal of the sublease agreement dated August 1st, 2015 between the district and Oklahoma County Finance Authority for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 as required in the provisions of the agreement.
Motion to approve the renewal of the sublease agreement as presented in item 14.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 15, discussion of possible action on the following board policy revisions. First, the table of contents, and BJ, internet access and acceptable use.
So this is a policy that we did need to get approved sooner rather than later, because it is already in effect, and we just know this is a big one. This has to do with student and employee communication. probably heard a little bit about this. Long story short, it basically says a teacher or staff member cannot communicate with a student one-on-one without including their parent. And so this adds language to meet that law as it needs to state. So that's generally what it states there, is just meeting that law. It's a good law. We are grateful for it, and protects staff, it protects students, and it's just good practice. And I would tell you, in most cases, we probably were close to this policy anyways, but it will ensure that our staff are cautious with their communication, just for perception's sake as well. But
Motion to approve the board policy revisions as proposed in item 15.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 16, discussion of possible action to approve Aptigee and Google Suite as school-approved platforms for school and academic communications with students as required by law.
so similar to the policy we just approved, one caveat to that is that school-approved platforms can, teachers and staff can communicate with students one-on-one on a school-approved platform. Now, from our perspective, the use of Aptigee in rooms is something that we plan to use to send out information to classes, to teams, so we plan to use that a whole lot. It is also monitored. We can monitor that communication. So that's one that we would approve as school approved. The other one is Google Suite, which is basically Google email. And this is an important one because what we know is through Google Classroom, a lot of times students and teachers interact, especially at the high school level. There will be the random question of, hey, can I make up this assignment? In those cases, once again, we have filtering systems, we have monitoring on that, so we feel pretty safe that there's not going to be any inappropriate, conversations taking place on those platforms. We want to be very cautious about other platforms because we just don't know why we would have a huge need for that. I know there are a lot of other districts approving maybe a variety of other things. Right now, I would rather approve a couple, focus on those, and if there is another one that comes up that we're just not thinking of right now, I know Huddle has been brought up. We didn't have those conversations early enough to even begin to make a recommendation to the board. And I'm still not sure enough myself. So Mr. Nyberg and I have had some conversations, but we need to have more conversation to find out what that would be used for. And it's going to take some adjustment by teachers because we have been used to using GroupMe and Band and all those things. We really, really, really want to focus on rooms and Aptigee and a one-stop shop for parents and students. But these two would be the ones that if a student has a question or a teacher has something that they need to just let the student know, they could communicate with them, that is filtered and monitored.
Motion to approve Aptigee and Google Suite as school-approved platforms for school and academic communications with students.
Second.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 17, discussion and possible action on adult meal prices per USDA requirements for the 24-25 school year.
So this is just something that we have to bring to you to vote on, but these are the prices that USDA sets for us. So.
Motion to approve adult meal prices for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 18, discussion and possible action on the agreement with Oklahoma Baptist University for the speech language pathology program.
I think it's just an agreement that we would have with them.
Yeah,
as
just
well.
allowing students to come in like a student teacher, but it's for speech pathology students to come in.
And is this a renewal, basically? I mean, have they students?
Well,
been in the
OBU,
past?
they are starting a brand new program.
Okay.
And so we actually wouldn't even get any students for a couple of years. They're just trying to get some schools and facilities on board as they're building their program to be able to know that they have enough places to place their students.
So we would just reapprove this every year, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
similar
move
to
up
like
to
what
the
we do with
consent
other
agenda.
universities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teacher
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. Motion to approve the agreement with Oklahoma Baptist University for the speech language pathology program.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 19, discussion of possible action to approve the MOU with Southern Nazarene University through SNU's Renewal Counseling Center.
So this is just some paperwork we need to do to finalize our grant that we received. We've got to get the abatement award signed tonight, and then we have to have a memorandum of understanding with the Renew Counseling Center at SNU. So that's what these two items are. Once we have these approved tonight, we'll send that into the grant, have it finalized, and Mrs. Martineau is working with SNU and the Renew Counseling Center to begin that program. We're excited to provide that for our students and families. So.
And we'll have them work on the date. We'll have them work on the date.
Yeah, they had it dated through to July 30th. We can only go to June 30th, so.
Motion to approve the MOU with Southern Nazarene University as presented, but with a date change.
Ending date now. So it
Ending
ends at
date
our
change.
fiscal year.
Okay.
Second?
Roll call vote?
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 20, discussion possible action on the addition of a kindergarten, first grade art teacher as an adjunct position requiring board approval from the OSDE for certification in art pre-K through 12.
So this is a teacher we already have who's been teaching kindergarten art for us, but Amanda Toller is going to be teaching first grade art for us as well. And so she is working on some processes to be certified, and just actually completed a process for journalism. That was her fastest path. Now she'll be working on taking tests for art and things like that. But she does a great job. We love having her teach. We're glad she's expanding to first grade, which greatly helps us within our master schedule. And so this allows us to treat her as an adjunct teacher instead of just a support personnel. So we'd like to be able to do that, but we have to get that approved as well.
Motion to approve adjunct art position.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. 21, staff reports.
Exciting to see the playground over there done.
Yeah.
And all the work that Ms. Turney has put into that and her efforts. It's fantastic.
That's amazing.
And come to the grand opening ceremony.
Was it Friday or the
It's on
19th?
Sunday. The 19th.
Monday, the
19th, Monday the 19th.
10 o'clock.
And those test scores.
Yes, we have our test scores in. They did change some of the criteria, and so our teachers are eager to know.
Sure.
Because we saw a lot of growth, but they're like, okay, how much of this is our practices and how much is because of the change scores? So as soon as we get the state averages, then I'll share with you guys the actual, like, what our comparisons are. But teachers are really eager, but we're proud. Our kids did great, our teachers did great, and we've been comparing a lot with our STAR assessment, so that's a program we utilize, and so we've been able to see there truly is a correlation, so that can help us in our practices to know, okay, when we get this data now at the beginning of the year, we can really identify those gaps and know that it is accurate and how we can further our practices. So we're
Awesome.
excited.
Good.
And WIDA was very exciting because we also had tons of students who passed their ELAC scores, and then even more who just got approval today actually to get the band alternative exit. So we're really excited.
proposed executive session to discuss the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or resignation of the employees listed in addendum A, B, C, and D as authorized by 25 OS Section 307 B1, and or discuss the Bethany classroom teachers negotiated master agreement for the 24-25 school year as authorized by the Oklahoma Statutes 25 Section 307 B2.
Vote to go to convene into executive session.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
And Penny.
Yes. executive session, only the members of the board and the superintendent were present. The only items discussed were those listed on the agenda and no votes were taken. Let's see, item 23, discussion possible action on the 24-25 Bethany negotiated classroom teacher agreement.
Motion to approve certified negotiated agreement for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. 24, discussion possible board action on the employment of personnel is listed in addendum A for the 24-25 school year.
I make a motion to approve item 24. The employment of personnel is listed in the addendum A.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 25, discussion possible board action on the employment of extra duty personnel is listed in addendum B for the 24-25 school year.
Make a motion to approve the employment of the extra duty personnel as presented in addendum B.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 26, discussion possible board action on the employment of bus drivers is listed in the addendum C for 24-25 school year.
Make a motion to approve the employment of bus drivers as presented in addendum C.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 27, discussion possible action on the resignations is listed on addendum D.
I make a motion to accept the resignations as presented in addendum D.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 28, compensation of superintendent of schools.
I make a motion that we accept the, we accept the contract?
The just read the,
Yeah,
the super compensation as presented.
Motion to approve the wait a minute. Motion to approve superintendent compensation as presented.
There we go.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Informational items.
No informational items?
Board member comments.
It's good.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'll try to be quick. Just want to celebrate our staff for getting ready for the start of school coming Thursday. Just continuing to see teachers up here before they needed to be is not an uncommon thing in Bethany, and that continues. The principals, counselors, support staff, just everybody has been working together to get ready for that start of school, including facilities, painting, maintenance, working around construction. We've had a lot of it this year, and trying to make sure everything is ready to go. So can't be more happy with the preparation that's gone in, the work that we've seen, even before required. Again, want to congratulate Mr. Allen and Mr. Forrester on their aviation grant. Extracurricular activities, we had softball, volleyball, cross country, cheer, pom, marching band, football all underway, some games tonight even. Some of those seasons are kicking off, and appreciate all that's gone on for that. Also want to just say thank you to the coaches who participated in Bronco Iron this year. Had a lot of great feedback from parents. My own personal observations were great. Just the difference and excitement from the kids participating, having their own coaches run those programs, and certainly there was a different level of motivation. I saw it in my own kids, but more so just saw it across the board. A lot of leadership grew out of those sessions, and I know the coaches did a good job of promoting hard work, and they gave out certificates and things like that. That just some things that we could only do because we did ourselves, and I appreciate them doing that. Friday Night Lights will take place this Friday. Also want to just thank the principals for a lot of visionary changes that they made in the buildings. There are a lot of improvements that have taken place from spaces, teachers' workrooms, and staff rooms that are just big visionary projects that are hard to envision until you you see it, and then you see it come to fruition, and some things look a lot better across the district because they just had the courage to change some things up, and so we're grateful for that. Teacher negotiations went well this year, and I just want to thank the teachers who represent this district. They represent it very well. They represent it professionally. They are advocates for all the teaching staff, but more than that, they do it the right way. They voice their needs very well and very professionally, so it's very nice working with them, and glad we were able to work through that process. You know, we've got a lot of things going on around the district, and one of the things that is going on is the road. We did find out it's a little bit pushed back. We thought we were going to get 45th, which would have been huge. We're a couple days off from that. We'll get that Monday, and so we've been trying to communicate as much as we can. Here's how things are going to work. We talked with Bethany Police today. They've been a great help to us. The city has been a great help. So we have a plan for flow of traffic and where people need to be on those first couple of days. And then hopefully after that we'll have 45th back and maybe even all the way up to 46th very, very soon. But a lot of people have been working really hard with us in making that happen. We look forward to our back to school nights, our meet the teacher. Middle school even had theirs tonight. But more importantly, we look forward to the band and the pom and the cheer, welcoming kids back on the first day. It's such a great tradition, and it's kind of what we all wait for, and then that comes, and it's like, here we go. And so excited about that. Excited about our communication tools with rooms, and more so than that, even our increased presence on social media. We hired Christy Esco and some webmasters, and it's been very apparent already. If you're not on social media, I wasn't before, and we'll be sending out the official pages to the community to, hey, get on these. If you're not on anything, get on these, which is what I've done, and it's great stuff. It's well done, it's put together well, and I'm excited for that to continue. We're celebrating students, we're giving out information about first game coming up in this 3 days, and it's just, it's been amazing. And then finally, I'd just like to thank the board for their support this year, and you know, I shared with the teachers, but I've done this for a year now, and what I've seen is there's a lot of variance in what that relationship between a board and superintendent can look like, and you know, I knew going in that this board is very supportive, but this year I've seen that personally, and thank you for the communication, the questions. You ask good questions, you ask the right questions. You don't have personal agendas. Your agendas are representing what's best for the district and for the teachers, and just truly you don't see that everywhere, and so I'm very grateful that this is the board I get to work with, so thank you for that. And that is my report.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.